Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? We are going to be talking all about the products that I've purchased the last 3 months and basically just doing like a roundup review, my purchases for the first quarter of 2021. I asked you guys if you'd like to see this in January, and I asked originally about monthly, but then I just decided that that didn't exactly work for me, so I thought I would kind of split this up in quarters, and so I'm doing January through March, and then I'll do April through June, and so on and so forth, and just be able to come back and tell you how I'm feeling about the products that I purchased. And also I think it's like a good reflection because I'm looking at everything I've bought so far this year, and it's a good time to think like, did I buy too much? Did I buy too much of one thing? And I feel overall that I've actually done really, really well. I have not bought that much, and it's not like I'm on like an official low buy or anything. I'm just trying to be more conscious. And almost everything I have to talk to you about today is from independently owned brands, so that's exciting. If you are new to my channel, my name is Amy. I do a lot of videos all focused on makeup from independently owned brands, supporting small business, like that kind of thing. So if you enjoy that kind of content, this is the place for you. Don't forget to subscribe before you go, and let's just jump right on in. I'm going to start off with something that I'm not going to go too in-depth about because I have a very full in-depth review already. So that is going to be the Auric Glow Lust, but I've been using them a lot longer now, so I can kind of tell you how I'm still feeling about them, which is that I absolutely love these. I did purchase 3 shades, so I have Morganite and Selenite, which are the 2 lighter shades, and I typically use Morganite as a primer or as a highlighter, and I just feel like it looks so just dewy on the skin in the most natural way possible. I normally like using Selenite to mix in with my foundation. And then I also purchased Pyrite, which is 1 shade deeper than Selenite, and I love using this as bronzer. I have Morganite as my primer today and Pyrite as my bronzer, and it just adds a really beautiful, soft, natural glow to the skin. I only go in with a little bit, and it just blends out really, really beautifully. I was a little bit nervous about the undertones of this originally for using it as bronzer, but because it sheers out so much, I think it looks really, really great, and I just love the finish of this highlight mixing product. I have been changed. I am a changed woman after using these, because I put foundation on by itself and I'm like, I think I need some highlight in this. So I love these, no regrets at all, even though I'm pretty sure that this was the most expensive purchase that I've made of everything we're talking about today, but I love them. I use them all the time. So just continuing on with face products, I have one foundation that I've purchased so far, which is the LYS Triple Fix Serum Foundation, and I have the shade LG1. I have only been wearing this for maybe like a week or 2 weeks now, but I have been testing it out in a ton of different ways, so hopefully my opinion is still helpful for you. I do have this on today, and it is layered over the highlighter as primer, and it just looks beautiful. And especially this foundation mixed with the Auric highlighters is just the most stunning combination. It just looks so glowy and beautiful on the skin. I will say I feel like this has a little bit more coverage than I was initially expecting. Just like thinking of a serum foundation, my mind immediately goes to very light coverage. But I feel like I actually have like medium coverage with this. I feel like the shade is pretty decent. I can definitely make it work. It's a little bit more on the golden side, as it is named, LG, Light Golden 1, but I can make it work. So I've really been enjoying this. I feel like it does not look dry on my skin. Even using it by itself, it doesn't look dry. If I use it with a wet sponge, it looks a little bit more sheer, a little bit more glowy, but I've really just been enjoying adding a highlight and using it with a brush, so I get the glow and the coverage. My only real con with this is that it does transfer quite a lot, especially if you're like talking on the phone. The other day I was talking on the phone for like 40 minutes. I took it down from my ear, and like my entire phone was just covered in foundation. And I mean, it didn't necessarily look bad on my skin, like you couldn't tell. It wasn't like it just like wiped off. But if you don't like the feeling of like touching your skin and like feeling like emollientness, I don't think that's even a word, but that's my one thing with this that I don't love, but it's definitely not a deal breaker for me. I can see myself continuing to use this all the time. I did purchase one more foundation, which is the Fenty new I think it's like a BB cream or CC cream or something like that, just because I love Fenty and their other foundations haven't worked out for me. The glowy one just did not look that glowy on my skin. The matte one was just so matte. So I'm really hoping that this one is going to be the one that like it works perfectly for me, but I don't even have it yet or anything, so I'm gonna include that in the next roundup review. But I've been enjoying this quite a lot. So more face products, we can go ahead and talk about some blush. I have two blushes and they are both cream blushes. So the first one, let's do the Rare Beauty one first. So this is the Rare Beauty Nearly Neutral Melting Blush, and it was part of their like Stay Vulnerable collection. And I love the packaging of this so much. Like, I just think it is the cutest thing. It looks like a little soap bar. Like, even the mirror inside is super tiny, and just absolutely like the whole thing is adorable. I was really surprised by the formula because, oh man, there's a hair in it. I tried to grab and I just took a chunk out. But that's fine. We can go ahead and do a swatch so you can see what it looks like. So I just swatched it, and I don't know if you can tell, the thing with this formula is that it's just not that pigmented, which I was very surprised going in with some more. You can see it just blends into almost nothing, even on my pasty skin. So I was surprised because the other blushes they've done are so pigmented, so amazing. I feel confident recommending them to everybody because I just feel like they will show up. But this, like I said, it's nearly nothing instead of nearly neutral. So I don't love that. I also thought it was going to be more glowy. For me, I feel like I can build this up and I can get use out of it. I've reached for it here and there. Like, it's not a terrible product for me and my skin type and my pale skin. I can make it work, but I definitely don't love it. I don't recommend it. I kind of regret purchasing it because I just have other products that I like more, especially with cream blushes. So that's kind of how I feel about this. I feel like it's saving grace is that it is so cute, because I normally don't buy things for packaging, but I'm like, I'm glad you're cute, because not my favorite formula. And then the other blush this is like a complete different opinion. The LYS Hyper Standard Satin Matte Cream Blush in the shade Kindness. This is my jam. I love this blush so much. I'm obsessed. I have it on today and it is just, I mean, I didn't build it up that much today. If you watch my first impression, I went a little ham with this if you want to see it more heavily applied, but it is the most beautiful peachy shade. It's ridiculous. Like, it's the perfect peach to me. Like, I love it. And it's also super pigmented, so I just like barely put my finger in there and I get full opacity, but I feel like it still blends out really nicely. So there's what the color looks like. And even if I blend it out, you can see like it's softening, but the color is still there. It has a really great amount of pigmentation. And the thing with this is that even though it's described as a satin matte, I feel like it looks really glowy on the skin. Like, it just has a really stunning finish. I feel like I could wear this and forego highlighter if I was doing like a really natural day. I could, I don't know necessarily if I'd want to, because I love wearing highlight, but I just feel like it is such a great formula. In fact, and I know this is dramatic, I know I've only been using this for like, I want to say like a week or 2 weeks, I can't remember exactly, but I think that this might be my favorite cream blush formula. It's phenomenal. It's so good. Oh, and I should say that it lasts really well as well. At the end of the day, I feel like I can still see it on my skin, so I'm just so happy that I purchased that. So next, let's see, we've got two highlighters to mention. These are both from About Face. So this liquid highlight is called Fight or Flight, and it's a really beautiful pink tone. I don't love the packaging on this. I mean, I love the aesthetic. I think it looks really cool. It's very interesting, but the actual like cap, like there's just something about it that I don't like. But also leaving it off, I feel like it looks like a baby bottle pop, so I don't know if I'm about that life either, but it is a really beautiful shade. I'm just gonna go ahead and swatch it next to this blush here so you can see what it looks like. So there is the highlight. I mean, you can see it is extremely glowy, and I love this, honestly. I know, like, kind of putting it back, it looks like there's like a little bit of a darkness to it on my skin tone, but I feel like when I blend it out on my cheeks, it doesn't really show up. It doesn't like leave a stripe or anything. It just looks extremely metallic, and I really, really like that look. I love a strong highlight, and I feel like because it is a liquid product, even though it's metallic and it's very obviously highlight, it doesn't like emphasize texture. It doesn't like look sparkly or glittery or anything. It just looks really, really pretty on the cheeks. So I really have been enjoying that. I also like mixing it in with foundation when I'm going for a more like obvious, like super glowy look rather than like a natural like glow from within look, which is more of what I would say I have today. Like, I mean, it looks like I'm glowing, but it doesn't look like bam glow, if that makes sense. There's a difference, I swear. So I've been liking that. No regrets purchasing it. I will say that in color it is very similar to the iconic London Illuminator in the shade Shine, but I feel like I like the About Face a little bit better because I think it looks a little bit more metallic, and I think that the base shade that you see there is a little tiny bit lighter, which helps it look more natural on my skin tone. Okay, and then the other highlight that I got is the Light Lock Powder in the shade Stay in Bed. I love it. I love it. I am here for sleeping in. But then again, is that what they mean? Because I'm thinking about sleeping and maybe that's not what this is about. But anyways. When I initially got this, I was disappointed because it looked so much more pink online, and in person, it's like a peach with a tiny, tiny hint of pink. And overall, I would say that's kind of my experience with About Face's website in general. I feel like the lighting and the colors in their pictures are not as accurate to real life as I would want them to be. But even though initially I was disappointed with this, I definitely got over it because I don't really have a highlight in this shade. It's just such a beautiful color. Here's what it looks like. It's definitely light enough for my skin tone, but it's like the perfect shade to where it really adds just like a beautiful natural glow. And I don't know if you can see, like, I just absolutely love the shade. And the thing with this is that when you swatch it, like even now looking at it, I'm like, oh yeah, like that's a pretty highlight. Like it's a soft kind of satin, you know, shade. But when you let this highlight marinate and just sit on your skin, it looks so good. I love the way that it wears. I feel like it just gets more and more glowy. The way that it shines in the sunlight, like it's just so stunning. It's what I have on right now over the Kindness blush. And I mean, I feel like you can see, like it looks more of a natural glow, but I swear as this day goes on, it's just gonna look better and better. So I really, really love it. I love the formula. I think that if you like a really natural glowy highlight, this one is really, really pretty. So let's go ahead and jump on into some eye products now. I have one liner and then I have some eyeshadow that I'll mention. So the liner is from About Face and it is their shadow stick in the shade Acidic. It's what I have on my waterline today. I really love this. Just do a little swatch so you can see. It's a stunning chartreuse shade. Like I love greens. I love chartreuse. So I feel like if those are your colors, this is a really, really beautiful shadow stick. For me, I don't necessarily love that it's like super thick or whatever. I believe that you're supposed to be able to use this like actually on your eyes as like a shadow base. I haven't used it like that, not once, because it's just not my personal makeup style, but I love using it in the waterline. I bought it specifically for the color, and I feel like it lasts pretty good throughout the day on the waterline. So I really like this. We have one eyeshadow palette and then two different sets of singles to talk about. So the eyeshadow palette is the Menagerie Flight Club, and I'm actually going to keep this pretty brief. I've used this, I want to say 5 times now, and only one has been on camera on my main YouTube channel. These are the matte shadows that I have on my eyes today, and I did film this look for my Patreon. But basically the reason I'm keeping this brief is even though I've used it a bunch of times, I have not used all the colors and I've been focusing more on doing soft looks. So I really want to do a 3 looks video and review with this, and I just want to take a little bit more time to test it out further. But overall, I would say I'm really loving it. No regrets. I think that this is the best formula that Menagerie has done yet. So I will go in depth on this very soon. Hopefully maybe next week. guesstimation. So next I have some shadows from Adept Cosmetics, and they are stunning. They are so beautiful. So these 4 shadows here are their ACI singles. If you're not familiar, they have their Plain Jane palette, they have their Ninhydrin palette, and those are mostly consisting of the ACI formula, which overall I really love. I feel like it is so beautiful and sparkly and creamy and just doesn't even need a glitter primer. Like, it's such an amazing formula. 10 out of 10 recommend. Oh, I just realized I did buy another eyeshadow palette. You know what? I bought the It's Belle Cosmetics palette, but it has not shipped yet because it was a pre-order. I totally forgot about that. Because I've heard people comparing the 2 formulas, so I will hopefully be able to do that eventually, but not yet. Anyways, so these are 13, 14, 15, and 16, and those ones are available as singles. And then they threw in one of the diamond shades in my order as like an extra, and this one is super, super beautiful as well. So I'm going to swatch them all in a second, but just to give you my opinions really quickly, I feel like the 13 and 14 shade are stunning. They're very pigmented metallic shadows, but they just don't have like the ACI feeling to them, where they're like super sparkly and super textured. Like, they're pretty, but if I was gonna recommend you to go on their website and you wanted to try the ACI formula, and unfortunately the ones in the palettes aren't available as singles, I would personally recommend 15 the most. That's what I have all over my lid today. It's my favorite. And then 16 is really beautiful as well. And then I believe this is ACD 5, which is a stunning shadow, and it gives me the same vibes. And I think that one's only a few dollars. So let's just go ahead and swatch really quickly because I just want you to see. Here is ACI 13, which you can see. I mean, it is a beautiful metallic red. I just wish it was sparkly. And then we have 14 here, which is sparkly, but like in a more muted way. Like, there's sparkles in it. Would that not be like the most beautiful two-toned Christmas look, those 2 shades together? Why do I want to do that? Christmas is so far away, but I see it. I see it. And then here is ACI 15, which honestly, one of the prettiest shadows I've ever seen. You see that? That's right. So the reason I love 15 is because it has so many different shifts to it. I mean, if I take it over here, you can see the pink a little bit more because I've got a ring light coming in this direction, but it's just so stunning. Then we've got ACI 16 here, which is like a purple base with a teal and blue shift. I mean, you can see very, very shifty. And then ACD 5, which this one is a little bit more like movable in the pan. It's very, very soft, but the finish is just stunning. So I'm very happy to have these in my collection. I feel like the Adept shadows are beautiful. These 2, like I said, they disappointed me just a tiny little bit because I was expecting them to be more like, you know, the sparkly, like super intense shades, but for being metallic, like, they are stunning nonetheless. They're just a different formula than I was expecting, I guess. Okay, so the other 2 single shadows that I picked up are from Divina, and these were their new Aurora Flare multi-chromes. They did like a little extension to the set that they already had, and I love Divina. I love multi-chromes, so I wanted to go ahead and pick these up, and they are really, really beautiful, very stunning. I need to go ahead and do a full video on all their multi-chromes together, especially since I kind of switched up my lighting and I feel like I could show them a little bit better now. This first one is my favorite. This is the shade Phenomenon, and it's like a really bright gold, but then there's also green and bronze, and it's just such a cool color. So there is Phenomenon, goodness gracious. You can see the pigment is real. It's just so beautiful. And then the other shade is Hemisphere, and this little guy is very interesting. It's like a deep green with like, I feel like there's like a little bit of like a navy shift, and then there's also a brown shift in the middle. So it's just really cool. I don't know that it's necessarily a shade that I look at and I'm like, that's so pretty, that's so beautiful, but I do look at it and I think like that is a cool shadow, like just super unique. So there is Hemisphere. So those are all the single shadows I bought, which is actually like not that much for me, but I really, really love them. So last but not least, we have a few lip products to go through really quickly. First, I have the LYS Speak Love Glossy Lip Treatment Oil. I would say overall I like this. I feel like it's a nice lip oil. It does its job. It's glossy. It looks pretty on the lips. I don't feel like it's like the most hydrating lip product I've ever used. I feel like I would use this more as a gloss than a lip oil, or I'll use it as like prep before I do my makeup. But it's not something that I could see myself using like before I go to bed or when I'm like trying to really hydrate my lips. I think it's nice. I think it was $12 if I remember correctly, so not a regret, but I don't know that I would necessarily repurchase it. I also have a lip gloss from Rare Beauty. This is the Nearly Neutral lip gloss. I love this. I'm wearing it now over a lip liner, which I'll mention in just a moment, and I think it's really, really stunning. I'll just go ahead and do a swatch for you. It's a really pretty shade, kind of like a sheer rosy nude. I feel like it just goes with everything, so I feel like I'm constantly reaching for this. It's very, very comfortable on the lips. It like feels not like butter exactly, but it just feels very soft, and I really, really like it. I think it's a great gloss, and it doesn't do like the weird separating thing or like doing like the white line or anything. It's just a great formula. The lip liner that I was mentioning is the Cradle Lip Liner from About Face, and this one was a little bit of a regret to me at first because the shade was different than what I expected it to be online. You can see there's what it looks like, but I do really like the formula. It is very, very creamy, very pigmented, very similar to the Adept Cosmetics lip liner formula. And I actually feel like this combo together, what I'm wearing right now, is a match made in heaven. Like the tones just look perfect for one another. I feel like just the way the formulas are combining, I really like the way that my lips look right now. I feel like I did a really good job of my shape today, which I've struggled with for a really, really long time when it comes to lip liner, because like I don't really love overlining, but I try to like do my top shape, you know, as defined as I can to like match my bottom lip because my bottom lip is fuller, so it's a whole thing. So overall, I do like this. I wish that the website pictures were more accurate, but oh, it's a good formula. Last but not least, we have something that I have mixed feelings about that I was really excited to try. I'll just kind of put them all together really quickly. This is the Sin Límites collection from Vive Cosmetics, and I was so excited about this because I feel like I've heard so many good things about their liquid lipsticks. So they came out with this red collection, and it was like just really cool. Like Sin Límites means without limits, and it says red lipstick has special powers from feeling bold and empowered to unapologetically saying what you feel. We want you to feel Sin Límites. Our new Sin Límites K-Matte liquid lipstick red collection was made with inclusivity in mind. These shades are stunning on all. So put on that red lip and conquer the world because you are limitless. It's vegan, cruelty-free, fragrance-free, paraben-free. Like, I feel like everything about this I was all about. Shades are beautiful. The shades are absolutely stunning. I would swatch them for you, but I'm afraid. So I think my favorite is Unapologetic, which is just like such a classic. Like on me, this looks like a vintage, like, oh, it just looks so good. They're honestly all so beautiful, but I could never see them being my favorite liquid lipstick formula because, for one, they are a little bit on like the tacky side. And what I mean by that is like when you put your lips together, they like stick and it's like trying to pull them apart kind of thing. So I really don't love that feeling. I like a liquid lipstick that dries down completely. I don't care if it's a little bit more drying. I just don't want to like be constantly feeling like there's glue on my lips. Also, this could be a good thing or a bad thing, and it really depends on the day and what I'm going for, but these are the most long-lasting liquid lipsticks I've ever used in my life. I was not expecting it. The first time I tried to take one of these off, I scrubbed and I scrubbed and I scrubbed. I had to like pull out a special makeup cleanser. It was just a whole process. I'm not mad at that. In one way, it's like when you wear a red lipstick and you want it to stay and not go anywhere, having something this long lasting is really nice because you don't have to worry about it at all, which I really like. So if there's ever a day when we can go out in public again and not wear masks and I feel like wearing a red lip, I could see reaching for these if I know I'm gonna be wearing it for like 6-8 hours, whatever. But if you're just wanting to wear a red lipstick for like a little bit, like just a few hours, or you don't care about having to touch up, or you don't have a really, really good liquid lipstick cleanser, wouldn't recommend because your lips are gonna be red for days. I wouldn't call this purchase a full regret because I don't hate them and I could see using them in like very specific circumstances, but I think I should have only bought one of them to try out the formula in the first place. Knowing what I know now, I would get unapologetic if I had to do it over again, and this would be perfect because then I'd have a great red that I would use specifically for that special occasion, but I feel like I don't have that special occasion enough to justify having 4 reds in this formula. Okay, so I think that is everything that I had to talk about today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, if you want me to keep doing this in the future, making it a continuous series, please feel free to let me know your feedback down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.